What is up? Fresh off the heels of my last fucking video. I'm gonna spit some more for you. Anyways, just on my way to the airport to pick up a buddy of mine. But yeah, I want to talk about what the future has in store for little old Shaman here. Well, honestly, I'm kind of out of one fucking pan and into the fire, because you know how I said I fucking went through hell to get off those fentanyl patches? Just like I've gone through hell every time I've changed OAT, which is, for those who aren't versed in medical jargon surrounding junkiedom, that's essentially a drug that keeps you from being able to get high off of opioids. It's an opioid maintenance drug, so methadone, Suboxone, morphine extended release. Those are basically, I think, naltrexone is another one. But I'm on methadone now. But in any case, I was on fentanyl patches, and they were fucking awful. I talked about this a few videos back. They almost never gave me the same fucking dose consistently. I was constantly in withdrawal. I just felt fucking absolutely awful. And then the detox process wasn't very fun for a couple of days, and then they started over-medicating me, basically giving me, get this, so they went from giving me nothing to giving me 3 PRNs of 10 milligrams of methadone, which, considering I was on 250 mics of fentanyl an hour, at least that was what the dose was supposed to be. I was getting a lot less than that. But still, that's basically nothing. And then the day after, they hike it up way to fucking 90 of methadone, and then another 3 PRNs of 10 milligrams. And get this, fucking every 2 hours, I would receive fucking 2 8 milligram hydromorphone, / Dilaudids, which, yes, I know they don't have a great oral bioavailability, but when you're getting fucking 16 milligrams every 2 hours on top of all that methadone after being in, fairly severe opioid withdrawal for 48 hours at least, it was enough to make me sleep a whole day. But, in any case, I'm only on methadone now. I'm off all that crap, but I'm still, though, stuck on this benzo taper because my doctor is super fucking busy all the time. What is this guy doing? He kind of just forgot about the taper, and he started me on 80 milligrams of Valium, which was way too much. I got myself down to 60 in about 2 weeks, and ever since then, just going down a milligram at a time has been fucking agonizing. And but that's the lowest amount you can go down at any given time. A milligram's it's pretty hard to shave such a small amount off of a pill, because Valium pills come in 2 milligram tablets, and they never break cleanly when you snap them in half. That's why I use a scale, so I know that I'm getting exactly a milligram, or exactly half of the weight of a 2 milligram pill. And benzo withdrawal is the fucking pits. It is the worst. Why? Because GABA, the drug that it essentially, I think what it does is Valium or any benzo virtually. They work on GABA A and I think GABA B to a lesser extent, but GABA A is the relaxation chemical. It's what lets your body chill the fuck out. Which is why benzos are such a innocuous killer, because they don't really seem to get you that fucked up. until you're blacked out. Otherwise, there's two states when you're on benzos: chill and then completely fucking out of it and wild and acting like you just fucking slammed a 15 pack of fucking malt liquor. But it releases like calcium or something into the GABA A, which makes it absorb in a more like efficacious way or something like that, or it somehow enhances the absorption in a way that makes your body release more GABA A, or your brain, and that makes you feel nice and relaxed and at peace with everything. And like, honestly, I got started on benzos because of HPPD like symptoms, and HPPD is a very real thing, and I do think that the amount of drugs I've done has damaged my brain without a doubt. Conversely though, the drugs that really damaged my brain compared to my street use, my use of illicit drugs, were all the fucking antipsychotics and antidepressants and mood stabilizers and like all the shit that was thrown at me because they couldn't find out what the fuck was going on. They didn't know what HPPD was. And it turned out it wasn't even HPPD that was resulting in my vision being fucking flooded with stimuli and visual disturbances. Like, I was constantly flying on acid, like high doses of acid, for a long time. I do have light HPPD, or not light, I'd say moderate HPPD. I get really, really stoned every night, so I don't have to fucking focus on the HPPD stuff as much. I can just chalk it up to being really fucking stoned. Ergo, it's less disturbing. But ever since I took that 40 something hits of acid, and I thought I fried my brain, and I was in the hospital, and I was experiencing ego death multiple times a minute. Every 10 seconds it'd be die, reborn, die, reborn, die, reborn, die, reborn. I was freaking the fuck out. I was not having a good time. That was way too much acid for anyone. Fucking even Timothy Leary, that's way too much fucking acid, man. Not fun at all. And this is the first time I'd really experienced the benzo in a way where it was oh, this is curative. This nurse walks up to me with a big old needle, and since I'm fucking tripping balls, it's looked really sinister. And she was here, I'm just gonna give you this to calm you down. And I was what is it? She was Ativan. And then in my mind, I'm oh wait, that's actually it's a drug of abuse. I may get high off of this. I had no filter at that point. I was I didn't care if I was acting completely decadent. And so she was all right, but the medication hurts a little bit. And she stuck it in my arm, gave me an intramuscular shot, and it burned like a motherfucker. But I immediately came down. Immediately. And that was the time I first really realized what a trip killer was. And that ended up being kind of destructive because it led to me in all those years being locked up against my will, and doctors struggling to find out what the fuck was wrong with me, putting me on all sorts of medications that just made things worse. I was constantly chasing benzos because, and the thing is, I had a very high tolerance just off the bat to benzos, which is not good. So I very quickly was using if I was using them off the street, I'd be taking 10 fucking 2 milligram Xanax bars at a time at least, and that would just be enough to chill me out. They even prescribed me 15 2 milligram clonazepams twice a day, which is insane. That's enough for most people to overdose and die, and I was 15. Naturally, I went fucking wild that whole time I was fucking given that amount. Yeah, so that's what started it, and for a long time my central nervous system disorders, which are aplenty, they manifested in my vision before turning into physical pain, and benzos were the only thing that seemed to chill out the visuals, so I would abuse them any chance I got, and they used to be way cheaper back in the day. Yeah, so that's what kind of got me started on them. Like I got hooked pretty fast once I got like my first like serious supply. Like I remember this fucking Spanish dude who was like I trusted him as a dealer, and he's still like a trustworthy dude as a dealer, except for I don't buy his stuff anymore because I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to do pills and stuff that I'm not prescribed. He had like way more fucking Xanax than he knew what to do with, and they're like 2 milligram generic fucking bars. And he sold them to me for $2 a piece, and I bought like I think like 150 or something. And I was staying at this. It wasn't a shelter, but it wasn't a foster home either. It was kind of like a hybrid between the two. It was like a family that would take in troubled kids. This was back when I was like on and off the streets. And so, and the only channel they had in the room I was staying in was like the classic movie channel, which was like great for me. So I would just like every day for 3 weeks I would take like at the very least I would take 1 2 milligram tablet in the morning, 1 2 milligram tablet at night. But I found out that kind of the sweet spot for me was about 3 to 5. So if a really dope movie like Lawrence of Arabia was playing, I would pop 3 to 5, and then I would either be semi-conscious for the whole thing, or I would come on guy, fuck me, I'd be semi-conscious for the whole thing, or conversely I would fucking just like black out and then wake up like fucking 4 hours later like, oh shit, is the movie over already? And oh shit, I'm not high anymore. And so like I got hooked physically on them in 3 weeks. It was fucking insane. That required a benzo taper. It was pretty unpleasant, but it wasn't so bad. I got off of it pretty quickly. The same issue happened where my doctor pretty much forgot about the taper and got me stuck on the same dose that he did this time, which was 15 milligrams for a year without any changes. I took the onus upon myself this time to bring myself down, which was a lot harder because I was working with just 10 milligram tablets. So yeah, I mean, I'm about every month or so I'm going to be going down another milligram, and you know, it's really unpleasant benzo withdrawal. It really is, like, because you know it interacts with your GABA receptors again. You know, when you think GABA A, think relaxation, your body's ability to just fucking take a chill pill, in essence. You lose your ability to do that, and every little ounce of discomfort, especially the stuff that like really gets to you, like that really peeves you off, will be enhanced like fucking tenfold. And then you have the pain of withdrawal, you have aches, you know, pains in your muscles, your bones, restlessness. Your anxiety is maxed the fuck out all the time. Like, most people say they like had to stop smoking weed, they had to stop taking fucking their ADD meds and shit while on benzo tapers, and I can see why. I mean, because of the enhanced unpleasant effects, you know, particularly anxiety. It is like It is daunting to take stuff like amphetamines, even after a prescription. I take a pretty high dose of dexedrine every day, just pure dexedrine. Prescription, obviously. But yeah, fucking. I can see why people would stop, but I guess just. I'm kind of a journeyer. I just whatever comes, just let it fucking come. Let it happen. Let it fucking happen. It'll be another one for the fucking storybooks. However, I'm not doing drugs like psychedelics, like LSD, DMT, stuff like that. I'm not as moved to fucking do stuff like that. However, that's not just because of the benzo taper. That's because, like I said, I've already got some HPPD, which, again, is it's like you're permanently tripping. Tripping's fun when you know it's going to end. But when it doesn't end, it's scary, man. It's fucking scary shit. And you know that, fucking, you shit the bed. You shit the bed, and you gotta live with it. You gotta live in that bed with the shit. Let me put it that way. Give you a clear picture if you're not already there. So yeah, yes, this is like I've been saying for ages. Psychedelics are not 100% safe. They're not even close to that. In fact, most people shouldn't do psychedelics, in my opinion. I've stated this before. If you want to argue with me about it, I'm more than happy to. I still think psychedelics are pretty cool. I still think I would like to do them every now and then. I think for my next psychedelic trip, I would like to do like a peyote or a San Pedro or some sort of, but I want to do it in a meaningful way. I want to do it in a tribal fucking ceremony or something like that, something different. I do want to do ibogaine to get off of opioids eventually, and also to treat my treatment-resistant major depressive disorder, because I've heard that ibogaine has pretty remarkable effects for people with treatment-resistant major depressive disorder. Yeah, other than that, I'm not itching to get back on the saddle. Maybe when I'm done the benzo taper and stuff, I would do maybe acid or mushrooms. Like I've said before, and it's in my channel name, I'm not a huge fan of the organic psychedelics so far in my experience. I've only done San Pedro once, and I puked it all up because I scarfed it all down within 10 minutes and just puked it all up a couple minutes later. Didn't get high, so I can't speak on that front. However, for some reason, my metabolism is just fucking weird as fuck. And when I take something like mushrooms that requires metabolism via the liver into prodrugs and stuff, it just the effects are all over the place. It didn't used to be like that, I think, because my fucking central nervous system wasn't shot to shit. I used to do 7 grams of mushrooms, I would get as high as 7 grams of mushrooms would get most people high, which is pretty fucking far out there. But now, if I do 2 grams or something like that, it can be way too much, or it can be I didn't do anything. It's very strange. And I found that, synthetic psychedelics, like 4-HTO DMT, or, I imagine psilocin would be similar to 4-HO DMT, and I would like to try that one time. Just pure psilocin, which is what psilocybin is turned into. I find I get much more reliable effects from that. But like I said, I'm not fucking itching to do psychedelics anytime soon. I've got a fucking chest full of them, but they're not going anywhere. So I can do them whenever the fuck I want. But yeah, I won't be doing them anytime soon. Yes, you could say that the weed edibles are psychedelic in a way. I would heavily agree. I mean, I've had some pretty cool visuals off of weed edibles, but I mean, I feel that weed edibles are more like akin to something like ketamine, just without the anesthetizing effect that, you know, suppresses anxiety and stuff like that. Like I've never been one to get much anxiety off of ketamine. I have had a couple like heavy ketamine trips where it was like, holy fuck, like, where did I go? Did I just live like 10 lifetimes? Was I born and lived my entire life all the way up to this moment just from closing my eyes? Like, I've had some crazy shit happen, but since it's an anesthetic, that's what I chalk it up to anyways. I don't really like worry much or anything. I'm just like, that was fucking cool, man. That was one way, there's one reason I like to combine it with DMT a lot. It helped with the pre-flight anxiety and with maintaining once you're like fucking in the DMT zone. Because the DMT zone is a little fucking crazy. I think it's enough to make most people crazy. Like, I've seen this fucking weird ass trend that people have been doing where they say they can see some sort of language when they do DMT, sort of ancient language when they do DMT, and then look at red lasers. And at first I was like, are these idiots? Are these like fucking goober fucking wackos shining a laser pointer in their eyes after smoking DMT? And then also the other question that occurred to me was, fucking, how can you focus on anything external if you do DMT properly? You know, if you do DMT properly, you should be like passed out. You know, that's why I always say don't do it standing up, because if you do it properly, if you get like a proper breakthrough dose, you pass out. You know, I've guided trips for people before, and you know, I've had them lie kind of in my lap, because I know that, you know, like I've been around a friend who did DMT and fucking fell over and smashed her head, fucking started sneezing. You know, like, I'm aware that it makes you drop like a fucking sack of potatoes, if you do it right. Everyone I've done guided trips for is just passed out in my fucking lap. And like, I will like go like that, you know, around their ears, like, hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And they'll tell me when they come out of it that they could hear me. But, you know, they're otherwise not responsive. Yeah, so I thought, like, you know, these these people aren't doing it correctly. You know, they're maybe taking like a little bit, and then they're looking at, like, why don't they just do mushrooms and then fucking look at the laser? Because, you know, it's like, you know, it's a very similar drug. It's its own type of DMT. It's 4-HO DMT, or you could do 4-ACO. Like, you know, there's a ton of fucking analogs. You know, thank you, Sasha Shulgin. Give you similar experiences for a more prolonged period of time. You know, just makes more sense that way, in my opinion. But they say it has to be specifically DMT. And, like, you know, again, I don't think you're doing it correctly, if you can fucking focus on a laser. Fucking traffic is insane. I fucking hate Christmas traffic. Like, I gotta pick my buddy up at the fucking airport. But yeah, like, I kind of know what they're talking about. Like, I've done like high doses of mushrooms in the past, and like, I remember once I did 11 grams of fucking mushroom powder. So it wasn't like, you know, potent mushrooms or anything. It was just like fucking what my ex had at the bottom of her bag when she sold all her mushrooms and she gave it to me. But it was like a good fucking dose of mushrooms, a good dose of psilocin anyways, and I remember looking in the sky and seeing like letters and the fucking like lining the clouds and shit. Some of them like actually like spelled words, but I was just like, I'm high. You know, like language is broadcasting through my fucking other senses. It's not necessarily like some hidden fucking glitch in the matrix. They talk about like how they all see the same thing, but like I don't see any representations of what this language is, how it looks. Like, you know, like if you're seeing the same thing, you should be able to compare and contrast, like write down what you're seeing and how it looks, and then do it preferably in a double-blind way where the other well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be double-blind because you don't have a third party conducting the study, but at least do it in a blind way where you both write it down, and then you share it and go like, oh, okay, like without showing anything beforehand, or without looking at any suggestive material beforehand. And this will get me, or I'll this kind of will lead me into another issue I have with this phenomenon, which is that DMT is a very suggestible experience. And what I mean by that is like, I remember the first time I had a like really heavy breakthrough that I didn't just black out for. Like I was listening to fucking Joe Rogan, and this was a long time ago before he was like a completely detestable freak. I was listening to him talk about gestures and shit like that, and what do you know? One of the first things I see are fucking gestures, and I don't think I've ever seen gestures again. It's a very suggestible experience. I've said in the past, like, if you do DMT, you shouldn't listen to what other people say about, what they saw or what you should see if you're under the influence of DMT. All those notions are fucking they're in the air, and, they're just completely untenable. So if you hear that you say maybe you take one hit off of a DMT vape, and then you look into a fucking and by the way, I don't think I explained this properly. So what they mean by looking into a laser is they'll shine the laser on a wall, and then they say they can see this language in it, and like, I know what they mean. Like, I've seen like on disopropyltryptamine or DPT, which is like similar to DMT, but like darker and longer lasting, and you have to fucking snort a bunch of this awful fucking powder that just clogs your fucking nose up. I remember like looking, like I was seeing patterns that were like, it was like mathematical equations quickly like coming together and then turning into language and like codes and ciphers, and like, so I kind of know what they mean, but I don't think it's an ancient language or anything like that. I think what you do when you do psychedelics is you heat your brain up because of all the serotonin and dopamine that's being released. I think it's mostly serotonin, but the two work together, so you typically don't have one without the other. But because your brain is heating up so much, you're kind of short-circuiting, and by short-circuiting, you're fucking crossing your wires. Essentially, your senses are sort of merging together, and all these phenomenons become a reality. What's the one where you synesthesia, like where you see other, or not see, it doesn't have to be see, it can be, it's just you experience one sense through another. And the most distinct synesthesia experience, interestingly, was when I was sober. I saw this, it was like meant to look like a scroll or a map in a mural, but it turned out, or it looked like caramel. It looked like, or no, toffee, not caramel. It looked like a bunch of toffee, kind of gliding on this wall. And I was completely sober. I know that doesn't sound like a sober description, but I looked at it and thought toffee, and then tasted toffee. And so, yeah, it was just kind of wild. I've had synesthesia on psychedelics, but it's like there's so much happening on psychedelics that it's like it's kind of hard to keep track of what's what. And also on psychedelics, like, you know, your brain is overheating. So, like I said, your wires are crossed. You're experiencing multiple things that you shouldn't be experiencing together at the same time. Often, like multiple times in that trip. But yeah, in any case, I think that is fucking a ridiculous phenomenon. I think it is highly suggestible of an experience to have. I mean, when I do DMT, like, you know, I don't like doing fucking like a little bit, and, you know, kind of like having the intensity of the DMT body load, but without the visuals, without the like communicating with like these archetypal beings. Like, you know, it's disappointing when that happens to me, and it feels like a waste, to be honest. And it also, like, that phenomenon to me, kind of, it works as a reason not to do DMT, because if people can go crazy because of, and like fucking think they're like seeing like fucking ancient languages, sacred geometry, whatever the fuck, in lasers while they're high, like, that doesn't bode well for like what that chemical does for your fucking rational brain. You know, it's a little cuckoo, a little kooky. Yeah, I think most people just shouldn't do DMT. I'm certainly not going to do it for a long time. You know, I've been considering doing Changa, but I think ultimately it's best just to let it be for like a little while. But yeah, I think that's just like ridiculously silly. But yeah, anyway, so next while, I mean, it's probably gonna take me about a year to get down off this benzo taper, and I'm gonna get more and more uncomfortable, more and more anxious the lower the dose goes. So you know, if I stop fucking posting videos for a while, you know, like, don't worry or anything. You know, it's not because I'm like out doing bad drugs or anything. You know, it could be, that's possible, but I don't think I would do that. I have no, like, zero desire to. I've had so many opportunities to like fucking stick a needle in my arm and do cocaine, but I just have been like, no, it's not even worth it. It's just gonna be a nightmare, and it's gonna result in me hating myself and having to come down and feeling fucking god awful. But yeah, you know, like, I may be too anxious or what have you to fucking do a video. But like I said, you know, I'm a journeyer, so like, you know, I can usually force myself through fucking anxious experiences that a lot of people detest. So, you know, I'll keep trying, and I'll try to let you guys know, you know, what's going on. But anyways, that's just you know, I feel like I'm giving you guys a fucking good drug ramble. So yeah, there you go. You know, a little bit of my history with benzos, and a really stupid phenomenon that I think is complete bullshit. And, like, who the fuck made the rules? Like, you have to do NN-DMT and look at a laser? Why? I don't know. It's not. I'm kind of kidding myself by pretending there is any rationality behind this phenomenon. But yeah. Anyways, fucking. I gotta focus. I gotta get my buddy from the fucking airport. Bye. Love you.